For countless young athletes, the National Football League represents the pinnacle of success, a golden ticket to generational wealth and unimaginable fame. They sign contracts guaranteeing millions of dollars, stepping into a world where luxury is assumed and financial worry is supposed to be a relic of their past. However, the tragic, undeniable truth is that for a shocking number of these newly minted millionaires, that massive fortune becomes a ticking clock, a destructive force that evaporates with a speed that defies logic, turning legends into cautionary tales, seemingly overnight. The stories are all unique in their details. A missed payment here, a bad investment there. That they share a common, devastating theme. The chasm between earning money and managing it responsibly can swallow even the largest fortunes whole. Transforming $50 million paydays into Chapter 7 bankruptcy filings in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only the wreckage of a life once defined by glory. The most visceral examples often stem from an almost unbelievable degree of sheer, unadulterated overspending, a failure to grasp the finite nature of even the largest bank accounts. Sir, consider the disastrous trajectory of a star quarterback whose career earnings topped $35 million, a man whose spending habits became the stuff of legend and later financial ruin. Financial ruin. His lifestyle was not just lavish. It was characterized by a casual disregard for expense, where $5,000 might be spent on a single dinner at a chain restaurant, or where the desire for personal space led him to purchase every seat on a commercial flight, simply for privacy. An absurd and immediate burn rate for cash. Yet the personal excesses often mask the deeper, more sinister issue, which was an over-reliance on and misplaced trust in a circle of friends and family who were entirely unqualified to handle complex financial affairs, culminating in the quarterback's discovery of forged signatures and unauthorized investments after he was already forced to file for bankruptcy, revealing a betrayal that compounded the destruction already caused by his own recklessness. This pattern of catastrophic overspending, often driven by the need to maintain an image or appease an ever-growing entourage, is a fast track to financial collapse that few can outrun, no matter how fast they were on the field. Similarly, the wide receiver, who earned $20 million over a glittering career, offered a masterclass in financial self-destruction, fueled by an insatiable hunger for material possessions and the lifestyle of a celebrity. Hala! This was an individual who didn't just buy a car. He purchased an entire fleet, accumulating 34 Mercedes, Benzes, 14 BMW, and 8 Ferraris, alongside dropping $1 million on jewelry, all while maintaining a massive entourage of 40 people. He himself later admitted that while others had a gambling problem, his was a pure, paralyzing addiction to spending. The chaos that defined his financial life was physically manifested when his $2 million mansion was famously burned down by his then-girlfriend during an argument, a stunning symbolic moment of the instability surrounding his wealth. Years later, deep in debt from child support and personal loans to his sprawling circle of friends, he too was forced into bankruptcy, a stark illustration of how quickly the pursuit of luxury can overwhelm even a substantial NFL income. Proving that cash on hand merely creates more debt when the underlying spending compulsion remains unchecked, leading to a profound humbling for a man who once defined flash. Beyond the obvious pitfalls of personal indulgence, another massive category of financial ruin stems from a combination of toxic trust and outright professional fraud, where players are victimized by those they hired to protect them. Tagged them. One Pro Bowl running back, who collected over $40 million in salary, saw more than $10 million of it disappear through trusting the wrong financial advisors and friends. He was convinced to pour massive amounts of money into disastrous schemes, including a fraudulent casino investment and a classic Ponzi scheme, all facilitated through the use of fake signatures and unauthorized withdrawals from his accounts. The discovery of the theft, combined with his own heavy spending on multiple homes and handing out credit cards to his friends, led to a desperate, dark moment in his life where he admitted to contemplating murder against the people who stole from him. Highlighting the immense emotional toll of financial betrayal. His eventual bankruptcy filing showed a bank account holding a mere $150, A devastating zeroing out of a monumental fortune that underscored how devastating betrayal, even more than personal spending, can be to a player's future. For others, the fatal mistake was a well-intentioned but fundamentally flawed attempt to transition from athlete to businessman, a disastrous pivot into entrepreneurship, or, most commonly, the volatile world of real estate development. The longtime quarterback, who amassed over $50 million, fell victim to the housing market crash of 2007. His significant investment in a high-end condominium project with former teammates evaporated, leaving him responsible for massive personal loan guarantees. And this was compounded by the failure of a dozen Whataburger franchises. By the time he filed for Chapter 11, his debts dwarfed his assets by over $19 million, a terrifying example of how complex financial structures, once hailed as smart moves, can turn into instruments of ruin when an economic downturn hits. His story is a powerful reminder that being too trusting and failing to recognize high-risk ventures can be just as destructive as any spending spree, a lesson shared by a Hall of Fame center whose minority stakes in real estate partnerships left him on the hook for nearly $70 million. Debt when the 2008 financial crisis struck, an anchor that dragged him and his family to ruin despite his financial caution. Then there are the cases where personal life collided with financial life in the most destructive way possible, often involving complex family situations and staggering child support payments. One Pro Bowl running back found himself facing annual child support obligations, totaling $170,000. Payments that were spread across 9 different children with 9 different women. When his playing career and the associated income suddenly ended, he found himself unable to meet these court-ordered payments, falling so far behind that he ultimately faced jail time. His $25 million contract was no shield against the collapse of his personal life, and his eventual foray into drug charges only sealed his fate, transforming a life of immense privilege into a cautionary tale about the perils of poor personal judgment and uncontrolled family finance. Finance. This scenario was mirrored by a Hall of Fame defensive player whose $6.7 million in debt included significant divorce settlements and unpaid child support, debts that necessitated the heartbreaking liquidation of his entire collection of assets. Including his Super Bowl ring and hundreds of pairs of expensive sneakers. A moment where the symbols of his glorious career were literally sold off to cover the consequences of his fractured private life. Perhaps the most compelling stories of financial catastrophe are those that carry a deeper layer of human drama, where the road to bankruptcy passed through the gates of federal prison. The career of a game-changing quarterback, once celebrated for his speed and talent, vanished entirely when his role in an illegal dogfighting ring was uncovered. Stripped of a $130 million contract and his reputation, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy while incarcerated, listing over $17 million in debt accrued through a combination of theft, failed investments, and legal fees. Yet, his story offers a rare and inspiring twist. After his release, he successfully clawed his way back into the league, signing new contracts and incredibly living on a strict budget to funnel nearly every dollar toward paying back his creditors. By 2017, he had repaid a staggering 99% of his debt, a feat so remarkable that his own bankruptcy trustee called it a 1 in 100 case driven by the personal motivation that he didn't want to stiff people who never stiffed me. This singular example demonstrates that while financial ruin may be common in the league, redemption, though rare and incredibly difficult, is not impossible, proving that the human will to repair a life and a legacy can sometimes overcome the deepest financial abyss. Ultimately, every story of an NFL star going broke is a powerful, multifaceted lesson, proving that the athleticism required to thrive on the gridiron is entirely different from the financial discipline required to secure a future off of it. A distinction that has cost countless heroes everything.